feet of my holy master, Asmadiya Parvarata Turu Bharataka, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupai, Ashtotara Sadasya Samad, Rupanubhata Nivaya, Shinabhakti. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Sri Rupanuga Guru Guru. And thirdly, I offer my pranam to the Son of Vaishnava. I impose myself to grandfather. We are hearing the instructions of Sri Krishna spoken in Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. So, yesterday we began our discussion of the meaning of the word karma, vikarma, akarma, sakam karma, nishkam karma, and so on. So, even though many people, they think, this word karma, I know. But, deeply what does karma mean? This we can discover from Sri Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad-Gita. So, who remembers the definition of karma? Yes. Yes. This is one part of it. Karma means the duties prescribed in the Vedic scriptures of daily and occasional duties, nitya and naimatic duties. Yes.
So it is basically actions that the living entities are engaged in which perpetuate the cycle of death and rebirth.
Yes, very good. The actions that the living entities engage in which perpetuate the cycle of birth and death. So, even the prescribed duties, actually, the prescribed duties, the karmas, or the dharmas, they perpetuate the cycle of birth and death. So, in chapter 8, text 3, Shri Krishna gives Arjuna asks him, Krishna, please tell me what is karma? And Krishna gives the answer, Bhuta bhava karo visarga karma sangita. Means Bhuta, of the living entity. Bhava udbhava. Bhav means mutual existence, the cycle of birth and death. And udbhav means that which gives rise. So, bhuta bhava udbhava karo, that which gives rise to the perpetuation of the cycle of birth and death. Visarga. Sarga means creation, and visarga means secondary creation. So, Krishna creates the world, and Brahma does the secondary creation. But the living entity also, by being attached to the fruits of his activities in this life, is creating the body that he will be situated in the next life. So, Bhuta Bhav Udbhava Karo Visarga Karma Sangita. Sangita means it is term. The terminology is this word karma. So, we discussed about the Vedic conception of life. If you imagine, I am a Brijvasi, but you will not be a Brijvasi. You will just be an American or a Russian person, imagining what it is like. all the personalities in Krishna's Leela, they are living their worldview, the paradigm by which informs their decisions about everything, is the Vedic paradigm spoken here in Gita, in which Krishna describes there's such thing as the karma-chakra, the cycle of activities by which the whole universe is going on, and that is a collaboration between all the living beings. The human beings collaborate with the devatas collaborate with the living beings. As Sri Krishna mentioned in the beginning of chapter 3, in the beginning of the creation, Prajapati Brahma, Lord Brahma, created the Brahmanas who were qualified to perform yagyas, and also men and devatas and other subjects. And he blessed them, saying, "May you prosper by the sacrifice, yagya, and may it fulfill all your desires." So, the human beings, they perform yagyas, and by this they satisfy the demigods. The demigods, being pleased, give the living beings all they need to prosper in life. Especially they send rain, and from the rain comes the grain, and the grain transforms into semen, and that makes more human beings who do more yagyas to please the demigods, who send more rain, and in this way, this is called the samsara chakra or karma-chakra, the universal system. And so, there's a concept of punya, pious activities, punya karma, and papa, sinful activities, papa karma. Punya karma and papa karma. So, how does one decide? What is a pious activity, what is an impious activity? It's very, very simple. The activities that any living entity does to collaborate or to nourish, to support and cooperate with the system of universal governance is called a punya karma, pious activity. In other words, you have been born into this world, and when you play your role, when you accept your responsibility in the universal system and perform your obligations, and you contribute to the well-being of the running of this karma chakra, this is called punya karma, piety. And when you do anything which does not contribute to the universal welfare, to this system, which makes a disruption in the universal order, then this is called papa. So we can say, now we can discuss the meaning of the word karma, vikarma and akarma, because karma means when we perform our responsibility in the universal system and contribute to its well-being, this is called karma. And this will lead to, if it's performed nicely, it will bhuta bhavud bhavakaro. It will create your next body. To do your karmas correctly is a type of yagya, and the result of this yagya is that as you are doing it, it is creating for you a body in Swargalok. And when you have done sufficient yagya, then when you leave this body, your soul will go and enter that body in Swargalok. Now you will enjoy in heaven. So that is called karma. Now, if a person neglects to do their duty, that is called akarma, the non-performance of duty. And vikarma means to do anything which will make a disruption in the universal order. That is vikarma. So, yesterday we discussed the panca-yajna vidya, the knowledge of 5 fires. So, the first fire is the fire of sacrifice. When a person in this world is performing the yagyas for the devatas, they make oblations in the sacrificial fire here. and the oblation itself is transformed and it's transformed actually into soma. So it's not exactly that somaras is a drink that you drink when you go to heaven, but soma is the constituent of the body in Swarga. It's made of soma. See? So when it said that Indra enjoys the soma, it doesn't mean that he's drinking this drink somaras, or it does not mean that he's drinking the bodies of the living entities there. Srila Bhagavad-Gita gives an example when he said, the farmers are food for the Kshatriyas. It does not mean that the Kshatriyas eat the farmers. It means that the Kshatriyas provide the food for the farmers provide the food for the Kshatriyas. So if you say the Kshatriyas are food for the farmers are food for the Kshatriyas, then it means that the Kshatriyas eat the food that the farmers have grown. So Baladevi gives this as an example, that when the Vedas say Indra enjoys the taste of the soma, it means that those who develop a body made of soma become his servants, and he enjoys their services in the heavenly planets. So the Vedas are full of language like this, which is very figurative and metaphorical and so on. So it requires some explanation, and that is the purpose of the first chapter of Vedanta Sutra, is all about defining what the various terms of the Vedas actually mean. So, the first fire is the sacrifice performed by a person in this world, and the transformation is their body in heaven. But after some time, then what happens? They exhaust their pious karmas, and then what happens to them? Martyalokam Vishanti. Yes. The god Parjanya, he makes offering of rain with that atma attached to the raindrops. And he does swaha and makes the oblation. And here the yagya kund is the earth. And the transformation is grain. Then the next fire is the fire of digestion. The demigods use the instruments of the senses of the living beings to make the oblation of the grain into the fire of the stomach. And the transformation in this yagya is semen. And then the next yagya is the oblation. Again, the demigods use the senses of the living beings to perform another yagya, but is experienced in the ignorance in this world by people call this sex. So there is oblation of semen into the yagya kund of the womb of a woman, and the transformation is the embryo. Then, so this becomes then the human body, and the fifth fire is then the human body. It dies and is put in the fire. So the result of all this karma-kanda yagyas to go to heaven is you end up there in the... So this is called panca-yajna vidya, and it's meant to cause one to become nirved, completely disinterested in the performance of yagas for going to heaven, knowing that it's futile and the results are not permanent. Therefore, the first sutra of Vedanta said, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Ataha, now that you have understood the futility of fruitive activities, inquire, the desire comes to inquire into the eternal truth. So, now here in chapter 3, Sri Krishna said, Yagya Shishtasi Nahasanto Muchante Sarvakil Vishayi Bunjate Tetukam Papaye Pujantatmakaranat. Saintly persons accept the remnant of yagya, and by this they become free from sin. But those who cook grains and other foodstuffs for their own enjoyment, they are sinful and they eat only pap. So, what is Sri Krishna speaking about here? He's explaining that the householders, the general people of society, they cannot go to heaven because of panca-suna. Panca-suna means that even if they try to be not to commit violence against any living entity, yet still they must commit violence. Why? Because when you light the fire in your home to cook, then the fire kills so many microscopic living entities. Then, when a person takes a pestle to grind the spices for cooking, then they also kill so many microscopic living entities. When they fill a pot with water, then they boil the water, living entities are killed. When they sweep with a broom, also they kill small living entities. So in this way, these are called panca-suna. Even a person who is trying to be non-violent, somehow or other, just by it's the nature of this world, that there is some violence against other living entities. And a reaction comes, and that person cannot go to heaven because of this. So, therefore, the Dharma, in Dharma, there are what is called panca-yajna, the 5 great sacrifices. And so, a person has to perform these 5 great sacrifices in their life to neutralize the effects of the sinful activities that they do inadvertently. So the first one is adhyapana, means to give instructions from the scriptures to the disciple. That is called Brahma-yajna. Then the second one, to offer oblations on behalf of the forefathers, is called Pitri-yajna. Then, to perform home-yajna, that is a fire sacrifice, is Deva-yajna, to please the demigods. Then, to distribute food, flowers, and other necessities of life to other living entities is called Bhuta-yajna. And then the 5th one is called Nri-yajna, and that means to, whenever a guest comes, to receive them warm-heartedly. So this is actual civilization. So, when a person in his life, he's performing these pancha-mahayajnas, the reception of guests, giving charity, giving food and clothing to poor people and so on, doing yajnas for the demigods, then this neutralizes the inadvertent sinful reactions in their life. So, another important thing is that if a person is doing the sakam karma, doing karma but with a desire for the fruit of their work, so naturally their senses will be not controlled. Because a person who is peaceful and has controlled senses, they'll do nishkam karma, working without desire to enjoy the fruit of their work. Someone wants to enjoy the fruit of the work because they are passionate and they want to enjoy. So in the course of their life, they cannot control their senses properly and they are bound to do some sinful activities. So for those persons, they do some extra pujas of demigods and they dig wells to provide water for people, plant trees along the side of the road, and medical care for people, and they try to do as much pious activities as they can to neutralize the effects. And that is called the karma-karma. And they also offer this to God. But they're doing this, why? Because on the one hand, they're deviating from they're making some disturbance in the karma-chakra, and they know it. And so they essentially try to please the demigods and satisfy them by doing extra things in order to compensate for their uncontrolled senses or any sinful activities they may have performed. So here in the commentary, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining that these karma-karmas or sakam upasana, they're also Bhagavad-arpita. They're also offered to God. But not to God directly, to his representatives. It may be that on occasion they may offer to Vishnu, but mainly they'll offer to God's representative, to various devatas. Because karma-chakra prapadyantanya devata. Krishna said in Bhagavad-Gita, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires, by their nature, they're not attracted to Vishnu or any Vishnu tattva, because Vishnu is the predominating deity of the Lord of goodness, and those who are in passion, generally by their nature they'll not have interest. They'll be interested in predominating deities, involved with Rajas and Tamas like Brahma and Shiva. So, those persons, they do some pious activity and then they go before that devata and they pray, I am offering this fruit to you. This is very, very important, because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining here that if a person, they just do the pious activity, but then they don't go and offer it, they don't make it Bhagavad-arpita, offered to Vishnu or to any devata, then they'll get no results. They'll get no results. Don't think, now this is extremely important, because you may be thinking that karma is all mechanical. If you do something good, then it will come back to you. Automatically, just like this. No, it is not like this. Karma is about the system of universal governance in the universe. And so it is about the collaboration between the demigods and the human beings. And so if you do something so-called good, but you don't then offer the result of that to some devata, the devata will not be pleased. And he will not nullify the reaction to the things that you've done against the universal harmony. You see? So it's very personal. You understand? It's very personal. The way everything goes on, there are personalities involved. God is the supreme one, and then there are all the devatas, and then there are the human beings. So if you just do something, but you don't show respect to the authorities within the universe, they'll think that, oh, you've done something, but this is simply arrogance. You're just being arrogant. You're doing something, I think I've done something very good, but you're not giving respect to the higher personalities and authorities, then you will not, that pious activity will not nullify the impious activities that were previously performed. So don't think that karma is just a mechanical thing. You do this, then this happens. If you do this, then you cancel that. No. Each thing that you do, some reaction will come. But the performance of piety will not cancel out impious activity unless it's done through offered through the proper channels, the devatas. So, by understanding these things, by being situated in this vision of the whole universe, being one organic system with individual personalities having responsibilities, and the whole universe is a yajna performed for the pleasure of God. So those who participate in that, in the running of the universe, they become elevated, they become promoted within the universe. Those who go against the universe order become demoted. And those who don't participate, either positively or negatively, but completely dedicate all the actions to God, who is beyond the universe, they can mukti hitvanvitarupam sarvena vivastiti, transcend this material world and be situated in their eternal swarup. Now, one might think, a person may erroneously think, I am in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I am the follower of Rupa Goswami, I don't need to know any of these things, because I will follow gopis of Vrndavan. But all this is just foolishness. Why? Because Rupa Goswami and all our acharyas, they already know all of these things. They are born in this culture. Even today, even Indian people born in India, it's rare that anyone understands deeply the actual functioning of the Vedic paradigms, as even the common people did 5,000 years ago when Sri Krishna was in this world. So, Sri Krishna said to the gopis of Vrndavan, Na pariyam niravantya samyujam, I can repay you. What reason did he give? Krishna told gopis, I cannot repay you. But what reason did he give that he could not repay them? Yes. Yama bhajan durjaya geva srinkala. Because you have broken the shackles of attachment to your husbands and family members, and you have sacrificed all hope for happiness in this life and the future life. For what? Just for me, to please me. So Sri Krishna is speaking in the mood of, it's a very romantic verse, he's speaking in the mood of an ordinary boy. He said, Na parayam niravantya samjam swasadukrityam vibudayusha viva. If I were to live for the life of Lord Brahma, then I could not repay you in a lifetime of Lord Brahma. But actually, millions of Brahmas are born and they die in one breath of Mahavishnu, and that Mahavishnu is angsa of Krishna. But Krishna is saying, oh, if I were to live thousands of years and serve you all that time, I couldn't repay you. Why? Because in Vedic society, every person, they understand they have their responsibilities. They have Kula Gaurav. They have to uphold the Gaurav, the dignity of their forefathers. Their family has built up a reputation over thousands of years, each Gotra. And so every person, as they grow up, they understand it's my responsibility to at least maintain the dignity of my dynasty. And it should not go down. And if it can be increased, then very good. But to do some adharma, to go against dharma, means to put a stain on the reputation of your thousands of forefathers, upon their name. It's it's unspeakable, unthinkable. But what did gopis do? And so this is a few weeks ago we were discussing the Vaishishya, the speciality between Samanjasa Rati and Samartha Rati. So Samanjasa is, this love is, Samanjasa means proper. The relationship is legitimate according to the rules and regulations of the Vedas. But Samartha Rati is such, it is said, that if only a gandha, only the fragrance of Samartha Rati will touch a person, then their love will be so intense that they become in the state of vispriti, They totally forget all dharma, all the kula dharma, all lokalaja, that means the shyness of the opinion of the people of society, and all hopes of their enjoying heaven in the future, or even being happy in this life. It's all forgotten in a madness of only what will please Krishna. So, in this stage of Purvarag, you can see all the verses of Venu-Gita. There, the Raj Gopis are in a quandary, they are conflicted. Because on the one hand, they hear the sound of Krishna's flute, and they want to go to him, they want to serve him and please him. But they are in their homes, and they feel some fear of what will happen. So, therefore, one gopi said, Akshanvatam phalamidam naparam vidama sakyapashundanurveshaiturvayasya vaktam brajesha sutayor anuvenu justam yarvani pitam anurakta katakshamoksham. One gopi is telling her friends, "O Sakhi, of all the living beings in this world, those who have eyes, their life is only successful if they can see the two sons of the king of Braj. Vaktam Brajesh, the faces of the two sons of the kings of Braja, as they are entering in the forest in the morning, surrounded by their friends of a similar age and all their cows. And as they enter into the forest, Yavan Nipitam Anurakta Kataksha Moksham, they are releasing from their eyes glances here and there. What kind of glances? Anurakta Kataksha. Kataksha means from the corner of the eye, not directly. And these are Anurakta Kataksha. Full of deep love, they glance towards their friends here and there, not saying to whom they are glancing. But gopis, they try to come to some hidden place behind a tree or from a window, from their gates, from their balconies, and hope that Krishna will glance towards them. So at the time they're speaking this, the gopis, they're not seeing Krishna. But one gopi is expressing to another, "Oh, how wonderful it would be. We should at once go to Krishna just like his friends do. His friends run to him. They speak with him. They touch him. They embrace him. We should also do it." And then another gopi said, "Oh, but it's not possible. How can we do that? It is against dharma. I am afraid." And then another gopi saying, "Yarvani pita manuraksha kataksha moksham." Don't worry. Because if Krishna will just glance at you once from the corner of his eye, you'll forget everything. You'll forget your fear of all of these things. So this verse is full of the vishad, means regret, anutap, regret. Oh, Krishna is going to play in the forest with his friends. Why am I not going? And nirved, self-disparagement. Oh, my body, my senses, my mind, all are dry and all are useless. No use. Akshanvatam, no use of eyes if I cannot see Krishna. So, in the stage of Purvarag, because gopis, they live in this Vedic culture, because they understand the importance of karma and dharma and so on, they are extremely conflicted and they have to hide. Later, as they become older and they transgress all the boundaries of dharma to meet with Krishna, Yet still, the importance of dharma externally is there in the Nitya Lila, because this is Parakya Lila, and that is expressed by their constant efforts to hide all of their activities from everybody else in Braja. Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, all of them, though at every moment they're thinking, how I'll meet with Krishna, but also at every moment they are very cunning, they are very clever to make sure that there's no trace of any evidence that anything ever happened. Why? Because of this understanding of the importance of dharma in the eyes of the reputation of their dynasty. We spoke about Kula Gaurav, the reputation of the dynasty. So, because when the Samartha-rati appears, then one forgets all about dharma, everything. That means one will transgress it. But the gopis come into the situation where I may transgress dharma, but whatever happens, I must not put a stain on the reputation of my forefathers. And so in this way, all the lila has to be hidden, covered. It is only for this reason that the gopis are sneaking out from their houses in the middle of the night. It is for this reason that Krishna disguises himself as the daughter of the barber or the daughter of the washerman and so on, as the daughter of a Brahmin and so on. And in this way, Krishna is having many disguises and trying to secretly meet with Radhika and gopis. And all their leelas going on under the shroud of secrecy, because they're thinking, alright, we may break the dharmas, but we don't want to give any pain to our mothers and fathers and ancestors and everything. So, now, we want to move on to the subject of nishkarma karma. Nishkam karma. Nishkam, the word kam of course means desire, and karma means the duty. When the duties are performed without any desire, nishkarma karma, then what is the result? This is some little sattva gun may come, but our acharyas are saying this is nothing. This will, even one will not come up to sattva gun. Why? Because of disrespect to the devatas. It should be Bhagavad-arpita-niskama-karma. If one is not offering the fruit of work to God, then a positive result cannot come. So when activities are Bhagavad-arpita, or they are offered to God, then this doesn't allow the karma to go in vain. Otherwise, it's just a useless waste of time. You see? Krishna said here in chapter 3, Yagya tat karmanon yatra loko yam karma bandhana. Anything that you do which is not offered to God, yagya tat, then this will be a cause of bondage in this world. So, the practice of any karmas, even if it's nishkarma, does not produce a good result unless there's a concept of I am doing this and offering the result to God. So this has been explained by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Does anyone know? It's in Bhajan Rahasya, in the beginning of Bhajan Rahasya also. Naiskarmyam apyachuta bhava varjitam na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam kutapuna shashwada baddhamishware na chartam karma yadapyakaranam. Here Narada Rishi is telling Vyasadeva, Naiskarmyam. Here the word karma is action. And who is niskarma, has no action, that is Brahman. Brahman has there's no activity in Brahman. In the material world there's activity, and in the spiritual world there's activity. But in the Brahma Jyoti there's no activity. So Naishkarmyam refers to the knowledge of Brahman. If a person is cultivating knowledge of Brahman, Naishkarmyam, api, it may be the cultivation of knowledge of Brahman, achyuta bhava varjitam, but they are devoid of any feeling towards God, achyuta. Naishkarmyam apyachyuta bhava varjitam, na shobhate. Then that knowledge that they're cultivating, it is not beautiful. Na shobhate jnanam, alam niranjanam. Even if it is niranjan, it is not contaminated by the lower gunas. So, if jnana, if knowledge, and the attempt to realize Brahman is also, even if it's nirgun, if one becomes nirgun, this knowledge is still not beautiful. If it's devoid of a conception of God. Jiva Goswami comments, he said, it's not beautiful. Why? Because even by this niranjan jnana of Brahman, you cannot get mukti. You cannot get liberation. Without mercy, because Maya is Krishna's potency, and she will not release anyone unless someone will honor Krishna. Aruya Krishchena Prem Patam Tata Patantidana Adrita Yushmadangraya. The demigods prayed to Shri Krishna when he was in the womb that Arura Krishchena, someone does very hard austerities, Parampatam, and comes up to the platform and has a glimpse of a realization of Brahman. But what happens? From that platform they fall down. Patanti adaha, they fall down. Why? Anadrita yushmadangraya, because they have failed to give honor to your lotus feet. Adar means honor. And he said, anadrita, they have not given honor to your lotus feet, my Lord. And therefore, they fall down. So even if one's heart somehow, by heart austerities, becomes purified, and one has a glimpse of Brahman, it will still not give mukti, liberation. So, na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam. So then Narada said to Vyasa, kuta puna shashvada bhadramishare. So then, if jnana is not valuable, then what to speak of karma? Kuta means, then how can it be puna, moreover, shashwada badram? The karmas which are performed are shashwad, they are temporary, they are abhadram, they have inauspicious reactions. Ishware na charpitam karma. If it is not offered, if your karmas are not Bhagavad-arpita, offered to Ishwara, the Supreme Lord, yad apya karanam. Here, yad api apya karanam means even if they are performed akarana, without any cause. In other words, in a nishkam bhav. So here Narada Rishi is directly and clearly saying that if you do karma without any attachment for the result of it, then this is it's abhadram, this is inauspicious. Even you do your karma without any attachment for the results, if it's not Bhagavad-arpita. So nishkam karma is useless. Only when it becomes Bhagavad-arpita-niskama-karma, now there's some results gradually, because there's an element of remembrance of God. This benefits the living entity. And gradually the result of Bhagavad-arpita-niskama-karma is gradually jnana comes. One rises up through the gunas and one has the understanding gradually of the difference between Atma and the Maya and the body. Now, this Bhagavad-arpita-niskama-karma is still not called karma-yoga yet. The word yoga has not been used yet. Why? Because yoga is the name of a system which has, it is essentially, yoga is really bhakti-yoga. And karma-yoga and jnana-yoga are steps or stages which lead to bhakti. Now, it's important to understand from verses of Bhagavad-Gita such as Bhaktya mama vijanati and so on. Krishna said, I am only attained by bhakti. That karma-yoga even and jnana-yoga even are not the method to attain Bhagavan. The only method to attain Bhagavan, the only sadhana to attain God is bhakti. But karma-yoga and jnana-yoga are sadhanas to attain the sadhana to attain God. You see? So, the karma-yoga itself will not give realization of God. Jnana-yoga will not give realization of God. Only bhakti gives realization of God. And karma-yoga and jnana-yoga, they are the sadhanas to attain the eligibility to do the sadhana, the adhikar, to do the sadhana by which God is attained. This is the relationship between them. Now, our acharyas have described in minute detail that bhakti is of two types. That is Kevala Bhakti, pure devotion, and Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti means that activity in which bhakti is predominating. It may be karma Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti or Jnana Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. Where someone is doing karma or doing jnana but also practicing bhakti at the same time, and where bhakti is predominating, it is called either karma pradhani bhuta bhakti or jnana pradhani bhuta bhakti. There's another thing, and that is called guni bhuta bhakti. Guni means that the gunas are predominating. So, in guni bhuta bhakti, a person is doing some devotional service, but karma and jnana, they are predominating. And so, there's a phrase, in nyaya is logic. There's a nyaya, a rule of logic. It's pradhanyenya vyapadesha bhavanti. Pradhanyenya, that means pradhanyena, by the predominance of something, vyapadesha, the nomenclature, the name, bhavanti, the names are given. And so, if bhakti is predominating over the performance of karma yoga and jnana yoga, then it can be called pradhani bhuta bhakti. But if the performance of karma and jnana is predominating over bhakti, then it's called guni bhuta bhakti, and that's not really included in bhakti, because we cannot call it bhakti because bhakti is not predominating. According to the rule, pradhanyena vyapadesha bhavanti, the name is given according to whichever is in the most quantity. So, in Bhagavad-Gita, Shri Krishna tells to Arjuna, Kamani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachuna ma karma phala hetubu ma te sankvostu kamani. Krishna said, hey Arjuna, Karmani eva adhikaraste, you have the adhikar to perform karma. That means you are Rajasic. Those who are in the Rajagun, they have the adhikar to perform karma because they have to act. And the path of Gyan is for those who are in Sattva Gun, because Gyan entails giving up all actions and trying to search out Atma by philosophical research, by the cultivation of the sattvic qualities, and the practice of seeing the Paramatma in the heart of every living being. So, if someone will renounce before they've become free from the mode of passion, then it will be a big disaster. In fact, here, Krishna said this directly, chapter 5 of Bhagavad-Gita, text 6. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukamaptum ayogata yoga yukto manu brahma na chirena nigachati. Oh, Mahabaho, Arjun, whose arms are very powerful, practicing karma sannyas, the renunciation of karma. Karma sannyas, the renunciation of the of karma, without purifying the heart first by nishkarma karma yoga, brings distress. But one who performs nishkarma karma yoga becomes a jnani and very quickly attains Brahma. So here Krishna is saying, let's say a person is living in the Vedic society and he's thinking, oh, I will renounce everything, but his heart is not pure. Then what will happen? Then they'll renounce activity, and because the heart is impure, he won't be able to purify it just by imagining, I am not this body. The Paramatma is here and there. He cannot do it because the consciousness is too turbulent. I am not the doer. He can say it, but because his heart is not purified, he's not feeling it, he's not realizing it. And therefore, many desires will come, and the sadhana of jnana will not be sufficient to get rid of them and clean them. So, Krishna is saying that, but one who is active in the world, doing their duty, without any desire for the result, and offering the result of that to God, and also practicing bhakti at the same time, then it becomes niskam karma yoga, or pradana bhuta bhakti. That person quickly becomes a jnani. In other words, his heart becomes purified of desires, and he begins to realize, I am not the body. This world is going on by itself. I am Shakshi, the witness. And easily he realizes Brahman. So, in the commentary, Srila Vyasadeva Thakur said, the jnani's exceptions of karma sannyas without complete purification of heart leads to misery. Nishkam karma yoga, however, brings happiness. That is, it helps to attain Brahma. This feature was indicated earlier and is further clarified in this sloka. When the heart is disturbed by worldly desires, then sannyas becomes miserable. Only nishkam karma yoga brings peace to a disturbed heart. The word ayogata means in the absence of nishkam karma yoga. Thus, the renunciation of one who is not qualified to take sannyas becomes a cause of misery. So then Vyasadeva Thakur was quoting from a shastra called the Vartika Sutra. He said, Pramadino vahischita pishuna kalahotsuka sanyasino pidrishyante daiva sandushita shaya. It is said, it is seen that even sannyasis have agitated minds. They become inattentive, pramad, bahischita, involved in external things, kalahutsuka, and they become eager to quarrel with other people. They are eager to quarrel if their hearts are impure due to a long association with the illusory energy. So, this discussion about Nishkam Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and so on, is all about how a person can be externally engaged in the world in such a way that the internal purification can take place. And that one should be engaged according to one's adhikar. And those who are engaged according to their adhikar, they feel happiness and they quickly make progress. But those who act outside of their own level of qualification, on the one hand, they're not happy, and on the other hand, they also cannot become purified. So, now I want to come to yes, you can say that that's a symptom. If you're feeling content in your life, and by content we mean that, you see, because a person can be content if they're doing, let's say they're doing some, let's say some devotee is building a big temple or something like this, and money is coming and everything is going, so he's feeling happiness. This happiness is not, because the moment money stops coming or something goes wrong with the construction or anything, then they become upset. So just because someone's happy doesn't mean that you're properly situated. If you're happy independently of the situation, then you are rightly situated. So, here at the end of chapter 5, there's an incredible commentary by Srila Vyasadeva Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This verse, chapter 5, text 29, the last verse. Srila Prabhupada used to use this all the time in his preaching. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he called it the peace formula. Bhaktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. It means, Bhaktaram yagyatapasam, one who knows, Krishna said, that I am the beneficiary of all yagyas. In other words, any type of yagya or sacrifice that you do is meant for Krishna's pleasure. And simultaneously to understand that I am by constitution not the enjoyer, I am the enjoyed. When the living entity gives up the desire to enjoy and acts only for the happiness of Krishna, incidentally he experiences joy because that's who he is. That's his constitutional position. So Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam, then Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, one who knows that I am the Lord of all the universes. And therefore, nothing that takes place without my sanctioning. Krishna is in control. When we're doing things and they seem to go wrong or whatever, and someone becomes frustrated, they've forgotten that actually you are not the controller of the universe. Krishna is. And then, if you add that idea to the next idea, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, I am the best friend of every living entity. Then you also feel the peace in your heart that whatever is happening is not only under the control of God, but it's also for the benefit of every single person involved. If there's some conflict, whatever situation, this Krishna is doing things to benefit both sides. So Krishna says, Gyatva mam shantim richati, one who knows this, he attains peacefulness. So here, in the commentary, Srila Vyasadeva Thakur said, just like a jnani, a yogi also attains moksha, liberation, by knowledge of the Paramatma. And this knowledge of Paramatma appears through bhakti. It is stated in this slok, I am the enjoyer of yajna performed by the karmi, and I am the sustainer of the tapasya, the austerity performed by the jnani. I am the worshipful object of karmis, jnanis and yogis, and I am Antaryami, the supreme controller of all the planets. So when Krishna said Bhaktaram Yagya Tapasam, it means that the karmis are doing yaga in the form of their prescribed duties. But Krishna is saying, I am the rightful enjoyer of this. In other words, it is meant to be Bhagavad-arpita offered to him. The jnanis are detached from the world and they are performing tapasya. He's saying, but I am the one who maintains their tapasya. And so they should only meditate on me to maintain their detachment from the world, the jnanis. So, I am the well-wisher of all living entities because through my devotees, I mercifully give instructions on bhakti to all people. For this reason, know me to be the worshipful object of the devotees also. Because I am nirgun, it is not possible to realize me by jnana, because jnana is sattvic. In Srimad Bhagavatam I have declared, Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya, I am only achieved through bhakti. So it is only through nirgun bhakti can the yogis realize even my partial aspect, the paramatma, and attain liberation. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Nishkam karma yogis also attain liberation by knowledge of paramatma, which appears through bhakti. Bhagavan is the only enjoyer of articles offered with bhakti at the time of yajna and the time of tapasya. He is the antaryami, the worshipful object of the yogis, the well-wisher of all jivas. So, here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, after hearing the first 4 chapters of Bhagavad-Gita, which included Sankhya Yoga chapter 2, Karma Yoga chapter 3, Jnana Yoga chapter 4, and now in chapter 5, Karma Sannyas Yoga, a question may arise. And that is, if one can attain moksha, liberation, as the result of Nishkam Karma Yoga, then what place does Jnana Yoga have? You see? If by working without attachment to the fruit of your work and offering that to God, you can attain the purity of the heart, realize that you are not the body, and attain liberation, then it seems like there's no need of the path of jnana. Right? He said, so what place does jnana yoga have in the system? Did that question arise? Did you ever think about that? Because moksha, liberation, will come from Nishkam Karma Yoga. And jnana arises from Nishkam Karma Yoga. So what's the use of the path of Jnana Yoga? And often we see in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna, he glorifies the Nishkam Karma Yoga over the path of Jnana many times. So, he's saying, what place does Jnana Yoga have? And how does that Jnana Yoga manifest? So, Krishna said, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, the instructions in this chapter have been spoken to remove that doubt. Jnana Yoga, which can also be called Sankhya Yoga, or a deliberation on the understanding the tattvas, the various elements and their relationship with each other. Jnana Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga are non-different from each other because they share the same goal. And the goal is what? To come to the level of having adhikar for pure bhakti. They share the same goal. So, in the initial stages of Nishkam Karma Yoga, the karma predominates over jnana. And in the final stage, Jnana Yoga, jnana predominates over karma. You understand? So they're not exactly separate paths, but rather, as one performs Bhagavad-arpita-niskama-karma yoga, then as internally he's being purified, then he starts to become contemplative, and then he starts to discriminate between matter and spirit naturally, and he's very, very attentive to all the qualities of jnana, even though he may still be working in the world. But now the vision of the jnani is awakened within him, and so we'll call this jnana-yoga, even though he may be doing the same activity. But only when that jnana has actually arisen can someone do karma-sannyasa yoga and give up the performance of nishkam karma. Understand? Is it clear? Does anyone have a doubt or? It's very, very. Is anyone lost? Did you understand? Yeah? Okay, I'm asking, is anyone lost? No one said, but if I said, does anyone understand? Also, not so many answers.
What difference between sannyasa yoga and sannyasa karma? Karma sannyasa and nishkam karma.
Karma sannyas means when you give up the performance of the actual nishkam karmas, of the karmas. You see? And then you focus on the sadhana of the jnana-yoga. But nishkam karma yoga, it becomes jnana-yoga. Even though the person is still performing the nishkam karma yoga, it becomes jnana yoga when their heart is purified and they're actually experiencing the rise of jnana within them. But only then is a person who's doing nishkam karma yoga eligible to perform karma sannyas or renounce the activities. Because if the heart is not purified, then doing the sadhana of jnana yoga is not powerful enough to remove the impurities, and so therefore he becomes disturbed and sad and cannot make any progress.
Can you give example of nishkam karma?
Of nishkam karma yoga?
Nishkam karma yoga.
Yes.
Karma yoga. Практичный пример.
Yes, very easily. So the person, they'll wake up in the morning and they'll do their Mangalartik, chant Harinam, all of these things. These activities are pure bhakti. But the activities by nature are devotional. But that person is not doing pure bhakti because they still have an artist, that heart is impure. So then during the day they go and do their job. They're working. But they're not thinking, I am working and with this money I will enjoy my senses. Enjoying the immediate fruit. But here, the actual fruit of doing your duty in this world is to go to heaven in your next life, to do your karmas properly. So not even desiring that, but with a nishkam bhav, performing the activity without trying to enjoy and offering the fruit of the activity to God. For example, that person, they think, if I've done my duty, my Lord, I am offering the fruit of this to you, after they've performed the duty. And also whatever wealth is coming, they're utilizing this either in dharmic activities, then it will be in nishkam karma, or they may use it in the service of Guru and Vaishnavas in Krishna's service, then it becomes a bhakti and mukhi sukriti. And so the person is going on like this in their life, and gradually their heart is becoming purified. So that is called pradhani bhuta bhakti, the performance of nishkam karma, where bhakti is predominating in their life, but they're still performing nishkam karma and offering the result to God, and bhakti is predominating, so then it's called nishkam karma yoga, because it's going to lead them to what? Kevala bhakti, completely pure bhakti. Understand? But completely pure bhakti will not be attained until the one is completely free from bodily identification. Understand?
So, till a person doesn't reach Kevala Bhakti, can we say that Karma Mishra Bhakti automatically leads to Jnana Mishra Bhakti? Because if he's doing Nishkam Karma, then it's automatically creating Jnana within him, and then he's contemplating. So then, can we say Karma Mishra Bhakti leads to Jnana?
Yes, Karma Mishra Bhakti will lead to the yes, it's Karma Mishra Bhakti or Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Yes. This mix is there according to the adhikar of the person. according to the adhikar. So, if you understand these ideas, now tomorrow we're going to explain what is the Kevala Bhakti, pure Bhakti, and also the sadhana of bhakti-yoga. You see, this Nishkam Karma Yoga, even if Nishkam Karma Yoga is Bhagavad-arpita offered to God, it cannot, why can't it be called bhakti? Because you're doing an activity and you're offering it to God, then why can't it be called bhakti? Because it's not Swarup Anubandhi. It will not reveal your Swarup. It's related to this world. Because first of all, the karma that you're doing is your duty. And your duty will be different depending on what body you're in. But you're not the body. So it's still related to the body. And the Bhagavad-arpita-niskama Karma Yoga, in whichever way you do it, is going to be only up to sattva gun. Because it will give rise to jnana, but jnana is sattvic. You understand? So it cannot be called bhakti under any circumstances. So, also, we've discussed the role of the Nishkam Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga and their relation with each other. But in chapter 6, Krishna speaks about Dhyana Yoga, the performance of Ashtanga Yoga. And that's very popular today. All over the world, people are doing Ashtanga Yoga. Where does Ashtanga Yoga fit into this system? And what is the result of it? And for whom is it necessary? Who has the adhikar? And so on. So, what is the role of Jnana Yoga? That's chapter 6 of Bhagavad-Gita. And what is pure bhakti? Because pure bhakti begins from 7 to 12. The middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad-Gita all about pure bhakti. This we'll discuss in detail tomorrow. Siddhanta Boliyachite Nakoralas. When it comes to understanding Siddhanta, don't be lazy. So did everyone do their homework? What is your homework? 18 chapter titles. Yes, 18 chapter titles. Okay, so who did their homework? Yes? Very good. Kishori, what are the first 6 chapters? You just said you did your homework. First 6 chapters, chapter titles. Sainya Darshan Yoga. That chapter sometimes called by some acharyas Vishad Yoga, the yoga of depression. But Sainya Darshan means the yoga of seeing the armies. What does that mean? How can that be yoga? It means that by looking at the world and seeing that it's an endless conflict with no answers, and then you become Vishad. You understand? So that is Sainya Darshan Yoga or Vishad Yoga. Then the second chapter. Second chapter? Oh, who's doing homework? Sankhya Yoga, yes. Sankhya, because there's a lot of discussion there of the discrimination between the body and the soul. Sankhya Yoga. Then, third chapter. Karma Yoga, because the third chapter is explaining how Krishna created Lord Brahma. Brahma created the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas performed the yajna. And Brahma sent forth the Devatas and explains the whole cycle and how everything fits into the cycle. And piety is to contribute to the universal cycle, and impiety is to do anything detrimental to the cycle. And so there's a discussion of Karma Yoga in chapter 3. Then chapter 4, Jnana Yoga. Then chapter 5, Karma Sannyas Yoga. And chapter 6, Dhyana. Okay. So those who didn't do your homework, do your homework. And tomorrow I will test you on the next 6 chapters, the chapter titles for the next, from the 7 to 12. And then the next day from 13 to 18. So in 3 days it should be enough to learn the chapter titles, and then after that the chapter summaries. Okay? Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.
Вопрос был еще, конечно. Вчерашний? У меня вопрос по поводу пуни. Преданный аббас должен ли пуни внимание уделять, чтобы меньше препятствий было в следующей жизни?
Я не очень понимаю, о чем.
Что такое пули, что пули?
Нет. Прем Праyojan Prabhu.
Нет.
One question, small. Сформулировать. Должен ли преданный аббас уделять внимание пунье, преданный аббас, не преданный, уделять внимание пунье, чтобы в следующей жизни было меньше препятствий для практики?
Should the devotee Abbas spend time on punya for the purpose of the next life? No.
Меньше препятствий для практики.
To decrease obstacles for the practice
No.
in the next life.
Нет?
No. One should only try to do pure bhakti. It will come tomorrow. You see, let's say a person has karma adhikar. So they cannot give up the world. And they have to do action and everything. So, then how will they come in the line of pure bhakti? By taking shelter of Guru. Guru Pada Shrai Diksha Guru Seva and serving their Guru there. Their Guru will engage them in activities which utilize their senses for the purification of their heart. But this is not the same as the karma-yoga because it's in connection with Krishna's devotee. And so, it's considered to be the Pravesh Dwara, the door to enter into bhakti. And it's one of the angas of sadhana bhakti.
I thought the question was like, should we do punya? So in the next slide, I think it's favorable for us to do bhakti.
Yes, that was the question. No, and I'm saying don't. The most punya thing you can do is the angas of bhakti, beginning with Guru Pada Shrai Diksha Guru Seva Sadam Pratishiksha Sadhu Maganikaman, like that. That's called the Pravesh Dwara because in the beginning the devotee, the person comes, they have like a karma adhikar. You know, they are on the body platform and everything. But if the Guru will tell them, oh, dig a hole, here, plant, water these plants, build this fence, paint this door, like this. Because it's in connection with the pure devotee, it becomes part of Guru Pada Shrai and Guru Seva. And so this can never be acquainted with the Nishkarma Karma Yogas, even if they're Bhagavad-arpita. You see? So there's a very, very big difference between bhakti. So just wait till tomorrow.